The French Institute in Vietnam is a division of Embassy of France, managed by the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Development. Headquartered in the major cities like Hanoi, Hue, Da Nang, and Ho Chi Minh City, the French Institute in Vietnam is a meeting place to exchange on French language and culture. In addition, it's also one of the key partners that actively contribute to the language, culture, and art exchanges of Vietnam. The French Institute operates in many fields, such as cooperation in culture, cooperation in French language, cooperation in university, science, and medicine, support in studying abroad. The French Institute in Vietnam activities are considered as a bridge connecting the two cultures of France and Vietnam in order to preserve and promote the value of heritage, create their own identity and economic values, thereby contributing to the growing bilateral relations between France and Vietnam.
Welcome to Station Vietnam on VTC10, and I'm your host Tu Giang. As you can see from the reportage, the station that we would like to show you today is the French Institute in Vietnam. Hereafter, it's our pleasure to welcome to the show Madame Sophie Maisonneuve, Counselor for Cooperation and Culture, Director of the French Institute in Vietnam. Bonsoir, Madame. Thank you so much for joining our program today.
Xin chào, Giang. Xin chào, all the audience from VTC10.
The French Institute in Vietnam has been operating for 30 years, right? And it could be considered as one of the key factors to the artistic and cultural life in Vietnam. So from your perspective, what are the reasons why the French Institute in Vietnam is so well favored by the young Vietnamese like that?
For the reason why, well, of course, maybe the attraction of the French culture, which is well known. As you know, France is the country that welcomes the most tourists in the world, especially to visit heritage and wonderful museums. So this attraction of the culture counts. And I also think that one of the reasons why is that in the French Institute, we are one of the few places where we can propose the across-the-board activities. You could have cinema, you could have exhibitions, you could have debates, shows. You can do everything. Learn French, take some books in the library. So you can do all this together at the same time, at the same place. And maybe the last reason is that we are, I think, the only foreign institute to be present in the whole territory. There is an institute, a French institute here in Hanoi, but there is also one in Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang, Hue, and so we cover the whole territory and can give access to French culture throughout Vietnam.
Wow, 3 reasons.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as a young Vietnamese, I also really love the French Institute. I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
Comparing from the early days of establishment until now, how have the activities of the French Institute in Vietnam developed? And also, how have these activities promoted the diplomatic relations between France and Vietnam?
Well, at the beginning, we were maybe more focusing on teaching French, and we still have a possibility to learn French at the French Institute. But throughout the time, the French Institute has taken another role, a very strong role in terms of diplomatic relations, as you were saying. For instance, we have organized cross-cultural years. I don't know if you see that here, but for instance, we had a very strong cross-cultural year in 2013-2014, which has raised the partnership to another level. So it was strategic for that. I also remember, of course, the visit of Mr. Chirac, the President Chirac, that came here in Hanoi in 1997 for the Francophonie Summit. And at this occasion, he really, as he was coming for the first time, he really considered that Vietnam was a place to invest in terms of culture and capacity building. So just by attending a meeting in the French Institute, it raised really the concern and the interest of the highest politicians in France to Vietnam.
Coming to the French Institute in Vietnam, the community is immersed in the French-style space and participates in many interesting activities. Not only a destination for art and culture, the French Institute is also a prestigious and attractive educational center. The French Institute focuses on investing and building a multimedia library with full facilities to serve all readers. The library is a gathering place for cultural life, a source of knowledge, a teaching and training tool, and a source of information about contemporary France. Besides, the French Institute is the most prestigious place to learn French language in Vietnam. Every year, the French Institute trains thousands of students, including future students in France. The students get interesting experience to learn French in a friendly, modern, and unique environment.
Việt là trực thuộc Đại sứ quán Pháp, thì tôi thấy là nó cũng là một địa chỉ đáng tin cậy để mình có thể tin tưởng và để trải nghiệm những khóa học tiếng Pháp. Điểm mà tôi thích nhất thì là không gian của Viện Pháp, thì nó cũng cho tôi cái cảm giác như là một cái phong cách Pháp. Và ở lớp học của Viện Pháp thì các thầy cô luôn mang cho tôi cảm giác là tiếng Pháp rất thú vị.
Học sinh Việt Nam rất dễ thương, tôi rất yêu quý các bạn. Các bạn học tập nghiêm túc, hiệu quả và tiếp thu rất nhanh. Trong số các quốc gia châu Á, tôi nhận thấy người Việt Nam có khả năng giao tiếp đa văn hóa hiệu quả. Tôi thấy mình rất hợp với người Việt Nam vì tôi hiểu họ và họ hiểu tôi, nên tôi rất vui khi được giảng dạy cho họ. Học viên Việt Nam rất đáng yêu và tuyệt vời.
Campus France Vietnam is the official representative of Embassy of France to support Vietnamese students in preparing their plans to study abroad in France. Campus France Vietnam provides completely free service, from consulting information to organizing events to help students better understand the French higher education system.
Hiện nay có khoảng 6.000 sinh viên Việt Nam đang học tập tại Pháp. Campus France không chỉ giúp sinh viên xây dựng kế hoạch học tập, mà còn hoàn thiện thủ tục Études de France, thủ tục hành chính cho các bạn học sinh, sinh viên phải làm để đăng ký dự tuyển hoặc trước khi đi nộp hồ sơ xin thị thực. Chúng tôi cũng rất quan tâm đến sinh viên sau khi tới nước Pháp và khi đã hoàn thành quá trình học tập bằng các hoạt động kết nối, trao đổi thông qua hệ thống mang tên French Alumni Việt Nam. Mạng xã hội miễn phí tạo cho sinh viên thêm cơ hội trong tương lai về công việc và còn nhiều hơn thế.
In addition to popularizing the French language and culture, the French Institute in Vietnam will focus on activities to disseminate experience, improve the capacity in organizing cultural events, as well as to promote friendship exchange. It could be said that the French Institute in Vietnam is a place of intercultural dialogue, a bridge that connects the two countries together.
The value and the mission of the French Institute in Vietnam is to strengthen the relationship between France and Vietnam, as well as to support some Vietnamese projects in your areas of strength. So could you please share more details about those Vietnamese projects that you already supported?
Yes, of course. And maybe this is something that I should have mentioned for the reasons why maybe young Vietnamese and Vietnamese come to the place. Is that, and I think it's also something specific to the French Institute, is that we really want to showcase our expertise and give the expertise to the Vietnamese artists so that they can also raise their level and they can work with our tools. We do it in a multifaceted way. Just a few examples. We do it on music. We have a live space program. So just to be clear, we invite rock music bands from Vietnam. They play, we organize a competition, and the winner will have the right to have a CD produced by a French company, and this is a way, for instance, in music to encourage the Vietnamese scene. We did it also very recently on photography. We organized a workshop in Hue with a very famous photographer, French photographer from Vietnamese origin, Lam Du Quien, and who also did a masterclass for young Vietnamese photographers to improve their art. We did it also on cartoons. Just this week and next week we are welcoming a French and a German cartoonist, also welcoming young Vietnamese cartoonists, and at the end of the year we will publish the results of their collaboration. We do it, of course, on cinema, on heritage, with programs trying to train Vietnamese professionals so that they are able to restore the heritage in Vietnam. So just one of the few examples in different sectors.
For the last question, what are your future plans to develop the French Institute in Vietnam in the coming time?
Next year, it is the 50th anniversary of the diplomatic relations. So we will do like a cross-cultural year, as we did 10 years ago, with a very dense and diverse program throughout Vietnam, with very thrilling events, just to give you an idea of it, and to give you the idea, maybe the desire to attend. We will try to help Hanoi to organize the first Biennale of photography. So usually in the art world, to be in a position to attract a lot of tourists, you have to organize widely known events. I give you an example: Cannes, with the film festival. Everybody in the world knows Cannes because of that. So the idea would be to maybe help Hanoi to be identified in the international scene on the topic of photography. So big event next year with plenty of partners and also other countries to organize the first Biennale of photography in Hanoi, and we hope that maybe it will have another life in 2 years, every 2 years. Just one of the example, but we'll do also video mapping of heritage building. We'll organize concerts. Of course, we'll invite a high-level chef, gastronomic 3 stars chef from France to share their art with our Vietnamese friend.
Really shared about that. I just want to join all of those activities that you just.
I'll make sure you'd be invited, and please come everybody to the events.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madame Sophie. It's our pleasure to have you on the show and to hear from you wonderful insights, wonderful plans from the French Institute in Vietnam. And once again, thank you so much for joining our program today, and we look forward to further cultural partnership between France and Vietnam in the coming time.
You can count on it. Thank you very much, Van.
That's the end of Station Vietnam today. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next Saturday at 9 p.m. on VTC10. Goodbye.
Merci, au revoir. It's a story of passion because it reconciles 2 passions of me. I'm a French diplomat, and I always wanted to be posted in Vietnam, and I have also a strong background on culture. And so for me, it was a dream come true when I was appointed as a director of the French Institute in Vietnam, because I can do both culture and in Vietnam. So it's just a dream come true.